Good morning, good evening, hey, hi, hello, and welcome to another live craft and chat here on the Fiberific YouTube channel, where we craft and chat live. Usually, sometimes we craft and chat live. I got sidetracked. Sorry, I'm a minute late or two. Sorry about that. Because we are setting up for spinning on spindles today, I had to reset up like the additional cameras and lighting, and you guys have been here before, know that a bit more goes into the setup for a spindle day. So I hope you can forgive me. Also, I cannot work out how to get the glare off the glasses because there's a light like right here that angles down nicely for the spindle. Doesn't do great on my glasses, but does great for everything else. I was watching some of the comments in the chat. I don't understand all of them. So I would hazard a guess that I missed something. I'm going to guess that I missed something. So good morning to everybody who have jumped in live in the chat. If you're jumping in either live or in the replay, don't forget you can just always ask a question. If you're jumping into the replay, pop your questions in the comments. I will jump back and have a look and see if I can help you out, or send you somewhere that can help you out. So yeah, it is definitely worth popping your questions in. Jackie's not forgiving me. That's fine, Jackie. I shall remember this. I shall remember. Crochet with Claire is in the house. Hello, Crochet with Claire. How are you? So glad to see you. Good morning, Dolores. Good morning, Vanfear. I do currently, just popped into my head right this second, was Romper Room. Those of you that were in Australia when, the Romper Room lady was like, I see, and she'd run through all the names. I see Sally and Ben and Karen. Anyway, sorry. Yeah, your name is Green Claire because you're a channel member. Now, something I feel terrible about, I realized that once I started the channel memberships up, I assumed incorrectly, it turns out, that everybody would jump off Patreon and come and join over here. So I want to say a massive shout out, apologies and thank yous to those of you that are still supporting Fiberific over on Patreon. I meant to make a graphic so I could do big highlights of your names, but I forgot. I will make sure it's ready for next week so that it can be shared regularly as well, because I 100% appreciate the support that you give over on Patreon and that the channel members give here live on YouTube. It's making an amazing difference, and really just helping out so much. So I just want to say thank you to all of you that support Fiberific financially, whether it be those of you that jump in and super chat or hit my web store or use my affiliate links or share out my streams, because I know not everybody can afford to buy, and I totally get that, but share out my stream with your communities, and it just builds our fantastic community that we have here. So I just want to jump back in the chat now. I do have the air conditioner on. It is terrible weather right now. We're having a little bit of a heat wave, but that is also encompassing a lovely storm cell. So we have having this fantastic 80 to 90% humidity with 30 to 40 degree temperatures. It is not my favorite. And then we get to top each day off with a massive storm. Yesterday we lost power here. It was only briefly. So if we do lose power, because apparently the storms are due to hit this morning instead of this afternoon, which is unusual for us. So if that does happen, because we are using the StreamYard software, which is this software that means I can bring in everybody's names. Hello, Lisby. Because I'm using this particular software, it means that if something happens and I lose power, I have my phone here with me ready to go, and I can actually jump in and continue the stream. Admittedly, single camera. No, and I don't have a microphone plugged into it, which I should probably have sorted, but I didn't. But we don't have to be all over Red Rover. That's my point. That's where I'm going with that. We don't have to be all over Red Rover. Okay. So, Mr. Doobie, yes, how do you do? I'm going to play a game with you. I mean, that could sound quite ominous, right? It could totally sound ominous. Lisby has to behave today because her husband is home. My husband is also home today. It is the day. It is the day. And my daughter's home as well. So it is definitely, it's definitely fun. It's all the fun. I just want to just run a quick speed check, make sure that everything is running okay. I'm seeing a little bit of a weird lag. I don't know what that's about. Anyway, okay. My name was never said in the magic mirror either. Never. I sat there and I waited and I waited and I waited and never once did it happen. My phone cannot turn the heat off. No, because what will happen is that that when we lose power, it will become a little hot box in here. So we may continue on, but maybe not for long because I will quite literally melt. Lisby was asking, I saw it here. How is my house? My house is doing okay. In the last big storms, we ended up with an internal water feature, so we had to have a lot of insurance repairs done. Seems that they're working, so that's cool. That's so cool. So the water is staying outside of the house, which is great. So I'm very, very, very grateful for that. Christina's saying the radar looks okay so far. The radar looks okay, but it moved very, very quite quickly yesterday. Also, it's really stinking hot and totally grey where I am. It's all clouds. There's no sun. So yeah, it's one of those fun things. Now, is there an issue with the internet, or do I just need to stop looking at this other screen and pretend that everything's fine? So if you can let me know if it looks like I'm like floating through water. I mean, it feels like I'm currently floating through water just because of the weather, but if you could let me know. I'm not sure if there is a lot I can actually do about it. I do have a lot piggybacking off this laptop. I have additional cameras. I have like so much stuff. I'm making it work hard. I might see if I can view. No, I can't work out how to. I figured if I could at least drop down one thing, but I need it. I need them all. I need them. It's working and I'm looking at fine at your end. That's awesome. Hello, Teresa. Welcome to the chat. It's looking good here. It's all good. Okay, I'm going to ignore that screen. I was a guest on an interview a few weeks back, and no, last week. It was Monday. It was Monday. Oh my God, Monday feels like a few weeks back. Okay. And I was having problems like watching lag, and then I watched because I said, "Is this just on my end?" And they're like, "No, it's just you." So maybe with all the 11 billion things I try to get my laptop to do during this live stream, it's like just lags that image down a little. I really only have that open just so I can double check nothing bad is happening, and I can throw in polls and things. I might even just minimize it down so that if it's not distracting. We have amazing mods here. We have Jackie and Sally, and I hope that you guys all behave. Jackie and Sally are the moderators, or the blue names. They're the only ones who can add links. If you want to continue the conversation and add a link or add a photo or share about something that you've been working on, please go and throw it over into the Fiberific Fun Zone. We have a fantastic community of creators over there. Lots of these fantastic people that are here right now in the live stream, jump over in there and share with us in that community. It is so much fun. As usual, Sally, I got sidetracked this morning and I haven't put a link into the Fun Zone yet. I'm sure you're probably on it. So if you could, possibly please add a link to the live in the Fun Zone, and then we can keep the conversation under that link. Lisby said, I'm so glad to hear that. Was thinking about you and the storms the other day. Yeah, it hasn't been fun. And also, like, I'm watching on the news, and like, because I'm in a region of Brisbane called Logan, and it was just like Logan, and there's like houses with roofs ripped off, and there's like trees crashed down everywhere, and we have been exceptionally lucky. None of that's going on. Hello, Leslie Grant. Welcome to the chat. Sally. Oh, Sally, you're a champion. Thank you, Sally. I did remember to put an Instagram story up, like to say we're going live and we're talking about spinning. So you did it 15 minutes ago. Because 15 minutes ago, I wasn't looking in Facebook, but thank you. You're awesome. You're absolutely awesome. Okay, so what's in your cup today? I've got cold brew. So I've got cold brew and then I've got water for when I run out. I was tempted to make tea just to, you know, support my throat a little bit better, but it was just too hot to deal with tea, honestly. Everybody say hello to Mama Fiberific. Hello, Mom. How are you going? I hope you had an awesome birthday the other day. And I'm glad to see you back in the live stream again. So hello. We have to be good now because my mum's here. No, we don't. We don't. Sally said it's good that you did the Instagram because I can't do that for you. Thank you, Sally. And your cup is empty. We can't have that. Go and put something in it. Even if it's just a ball of yarn, put something in your cup. Instant. Mum, are you drinking instant coffee? Like, really? Terrible. Coffee milk, warmed up leftovers for dinner, steak and rice. Nice. And that's something I have to remember is for some of you, it's dinner time. For me, it's like morning tea time. So yeah. Lots of people in here. Annette is having a black tea. Nice. Lisby's got coffee. Lots of people saying hello to my mum. She'll love that. She'll be there at home smiling. I'm drinking a Coke because it goes well with my pizza. Yeah, I don't mind soft drink with pizza. I don't drink Coke, but I do like lemonade with my pizza. Yeah. I bought instant coffee and a teapot. I had no power for 10 hours Saturday. Okay, cool. Oh, you mean like a kettle for on the stove so you could boil water? Oh, Leslie has that chocolate mint tea. Oh, that's the one I was tempted to make this morning because you know how much I like the chocolate mint tea. It's so good. I should probably send some to my mum so she knows what we're talking about. In this heat, it's going to be water. Yeah, for me, it's cold brew and water. I need a little bit of a caffeine hit this morning. But yeah, absolutely. So what craft are you all working on at the moment? I haven't been doing much, honestly. I've been doing some other things that aren't craft related. Just getting on sorry, I just read Mum's reply to the instant. I know it's yucky, but to me it's blood. Coffee is coffee, you know, like sometimes you just have to have what you just have to have. As she sips more of her cold brew. So yeah, so I'm just having a quick look. I've done none this week. Need to get back onto it. Mum is thanking everybody for the birthday wishes. I had to put that in there. Two Arctic Wolves is trying to crochet baby items. When you say trying, is crochet new for you? Are you a knitter and crochet is new for you, or you've not made baby things before? I'm curious where the trying comes from. My order of mint sleece tea. It's got a new name now. It's mint sleece tea. Arrived in the mail yesterday doing a happy dance. Oh my goodness. I've been doing what you see is Wassy Jig. What's Wassy Jig stand for again? I can't remember. But I don't know what that is. My squares? What squares? Who's been doing squares? I've been doing no squares. I've done nothing. I've done no craft. That sweater I frogged last month, I'm working on the sleeves now. Oh, so you restarted it? Is that right? Oh, you've not crocheted baby items before. Well, I hope you have success because they come out so cute. They come out so cute. Sue from last week has said, after last week's session, I purchased not one but 3 Centro knitting machines. happily cranking and learning the hard way. Wow, you're going to be knocking things out. Gosh, that's awesome. With all that's going on here, have lost my craft mojo. Yeah, because you guys are packing to move. Is that right? Yeah, see, that's what I thought, Jackie, was what you see is what you get, which is like that's an editor that I like, you know. But I thought it was different letters. So anyway, I could be wrong. Oh, yep, restarted. Excellent. My knitted sock is too huge, so it's in the sin bin, but I do need to finish it. Oh, I'm sorry, Lisby. I'm sorry that your first sock has not been friendly. Baby clothes for expecting family members. Awesome. Annette has great plans. That sounds ominous and evil. Yeah, that's the thing. That's that. But what Bob put in was something different. Hang on, I'm scrolling back. Maybe I scrolled back too far. I don't know. But yeah, no, what was written was actually different to that, and that's what I was thinking. Anyway, Dolores is spinning today, applying some merino silk from the Fiber Art Shed purchased during the big wool show. Nice. Mum has a question. If you are knitting on muggy days, do you still use baby powder to keep your hands less sweaty when working with the baby wool? I personally don't. But in the chat, what do you do with your hands when they're super sweaty? I personally change craft. I don't like to put powders on my skin if I can avoid it. But what do you do? Because that used to be the standard. It used to be just what you did if it was hot, and you just powdered your hands. So let us know what you would do. Morning, been spinning up a storm, currently playing with the blending board again and making another batch of Rolags. Love Rolags. Love spinning from Rolags. I brought in my blending board, but I don't have all my box of. I've got like a crate of like ends of fibers and excuse me, all my bits and pieces of fiber for blending. So I definitely need to get that back out and going again, because I love spinning Rolags. That's such a joy. Okay, so few people still use baby powder. Sally uses baby powder. Leslie uses baby powder. Jancy just pops on a fan. We've got, I'm hoping that that's been sorted. No powder for Francis. Yes to fan. Yep. John says, I sweat up the yarn and wash it when it's made because pew. Fair enough. When you said written, I heard what gets written gets remembered. Oh my gosh, that's an in joke for another community that Claire and I are both part of. That is it's 100% true. But yes, 2 Arctic wolves. My hands don't sweat. Really? You're very lucky. Mine do. What's a Rolag? Okay, who else wants to know what a Rolag is? Deb is poking the bear. I've been knitting for 60 years and I've never used baby powder. We know that you're just saying that to upset me, Deb. You know how I feel about that first part of your sentence. Oh my goodness. I am going to. Hello, Arctic. It's cold. Yeah, good point. I should have. You know. Okay. A Rolag. All right. I'm going to go back to what is a Rolag. A Rolag, excuse me, is a particular fiber preparation for spinners. Okay, so it can be created either on a drum carder or on a blending board, and I'm sure there's probably also old small hand cards as well. Although I consider, oh yeah, that'd still be a Rolag if they were wool. Anyway, so Jackie's popped in a link, but a Rolag is a preparation, and it creates this like sort of cigar shaped little roll of the fibers. So you've blended them out on a blending board or however you want to do them, and then you sort of half draft and pull them and roll it, and draft and pull and roll, and you roll it up, and then when you're spinning, you've just got this. I don't even have a Rolag handy. I did have one, and then the dog got it and ripped it apart, and so now I have like this little pile of fluff I've reclaimed. But anyway, definitely check out the link. But it's an amazing, fun preparation for blending wool, so that you get it creates a woolen preparation, because when you're spinning it, everything's not all lined up, so it's all sort of a bit out and skew, so it makes a loftier yarn usually as well, which is something I love. Not always, it depends on the spinner, of course, but it creates a woolen preparation, and it's just a lot of fun. Or semi-woolen. Would you say semi-woolen, Jackie? Anyway, so it's definitely a really fun little preparation, especially if you have like lots of little bits of fiber, not enough to make anything that you want with, but those colors kind of work together, and so you can use them and blend them all together, and then you can I'm just thinking like hang on, I've got a blending board right here. If it's got the dowels with it, I can give a very fast demonstration. So I'm gonna like just jump onto the BRB. You guys chat amongst yourselves, and I'm gonna see what I can do. Okay, because describing it is one thing, showing it's another, right? So hang on for 1 second. I'm back. I'm back. All right, so let's jump into our desk view. No, not that one. Gosh, that's the wrong one. There we go. This one here. Now, my blending board was in a bag. It's not clean. I would normally give it a good clean first. In the bag happened to be some mohair curls and a bit of Angarino. So I happen to have everything I needed in the bag. So when you get a blending board, it usually comes with a couple of dowels. And this one has a little stand for you to use on your leg, so you can put it over your leg into that gap. So I'm just going to not attach it because the screw is not there. It must still be in the bag. That's all right, because I'm not going to use it on the, I'm going to let me just check the bag. See if the screw is in the bag. Nope, it's not there. That's okay. So usually you would have it on your leg. The tines run, it goes this way. So let me just, oops, not squish the keyboard. So it does usually tilt up, but because we don't have the screw for the thing, which I'm perplexed about. I'm trying not to be perplexed, but I'm perplexed. Okay, so you need to make sure that the tines are tilted away from you, and then when you run your fiber down it, it catches. Okay, and you can load it up with as little or as much fiber as you want. We're just going to make a little one, I think, because I only have so much stuff here. I'm just having a quick look in the chat. Knit Spin Girl makes her Rolags with hand cards. Absolutely, you can do it with whatever you want, as long as it's got something for the fiber to catch on. And so obviously you can make a similar pattern. So think about, you know, like say you want to make like 100 grams worth of Rolags. Each Rolag's usually only quite small, so you need to make quite a few Rolags. It'll depend on, you know, how heavily you load it. So see how this is starting to like sit up high and it's not going in. So most of them come with a brush for you to brush and push into the fibers, like push it into the tines, so you can keep going and keep loading. So this is just a sort of a bit of a base thing here. So let's pop in some mohair curls now. It's my mum off. Have a great day, everyone. Bye, Nana Moya. Have a good day. My daughter started calling my mum Granny Moya, and I think it is literally to upset her. Like, because Abby's a press the buttons person and Nana is a press the buttons person too. They both get along very well. So I'm not sure if these are, yeah, these are some mohair curls that I dyed. I used to dye a lot of mohair because I like mohair, because I can't use so many of the different fibers and what have you. When I do find one that I can use, I'm getting covered in fluff, you guys. I do this for you. I'm trying to make it so that we have a successful Rolag at the end. So it does need a bit in there. You can't just, if you make them too thin, they fall apart, is basically what it is. I got an advent box which came with 3 Rolags for each day, and don't know what to do with the different smaller amounts of very different colors. That's bizarre that they don't match and go together, especially considering they don't work together at all. So you couldn't do like a multiple plied yarn or something and just try and blend them that way, or I don't know. That's tough. That's one of the reasons why I struggle with advent boxes is some places create an advent box so that it goes with everything, which is fantastic. So it can be used for a project or something like that. So see how I'm getting like little, you can't see. Hang on. I'll push this up a bit and move the comment. Bye, Jancy's comment. See how we're starting to get some little fluffies at the end? We need those, okay? We do need, because that's where these connect onto. They will clip onto these bits here. So we're going to keep going. I hope this isn't boring for you. I wish I had some extra fiber around, some different colors that we could play with. Just thinking what I've got handy. All my fiber fluffs, because this is like personal craft, like this is stuff I play with. So I've got like sparkles and Angelina and all sorts of fun things, but they're all inside, I think. I might have some blue trilobal nylon out here. I'm just trying to think where it would be. I do have a crate of my personal craft stuff out here. So, you know, we could dig around and see what else we can add. But in the meantime, we've got some cute mohair curls and some beautiful merino. I think it's Angarino from Eggshell Bunny, actually. So it's a nice merino Angora blend. So when I was dyeing the mohair, I used to get my mohair from a particular farmer. I don't know if she's still going, so I don't want to mention her name. I'd have to check with her first. But I like I don't like kid mohair. I like my mohair to be really soft and open up. So I want good curls, but I want them to, so this is like second year or second clip. So it's like, it's not their kid mohair curls, it's the next batch. So you still get the luster, but you don't get the tight curls that are hard to work through. So you just see how easy that opened up, like that curl just totally just opened up like a crazy thing. Just grab that, throw that up there. I know not everybody can use mohair, just like not everybody can use alpaca. Love Charlie's fluffs. Me too. She has beautiful fluffs and she cares for her bunnies so lovely. Okay, we need a bit more. I'm just going to see if there's another color somewhere. Hang on. Success! I found some fluffs that would go with these colors. So this is Silky Nebula Clouds with this pure silk, but it's a waste product. And this is Sari Silk that would add a really nice texture. But I'm thinking we might go with the clouds. We'll get some of this. This is just really soft and slinky, but very short fibered. So see how that just breaks up on there. But you can add any fibers in. Kelly says, I did not realize that kid mohair was from the first shear. Yeah, because baby goats are called kids. So yeah, it's from their first clip. They have the tightest, most amazing little things. Okay, so that's plenty. Let's pop some more of this guy in to sort of hold it down, hold it all on. Because this has got much longer staples, so it'll hold it on quite nicely. I haven't made a blend, like seriously, I haven't pulled my blending board out in years, and I'm really enjoying this. I'm like, what colors have I got? Can I make another one? Because now I want to spin this blend. It's got mohair and silk and Angora, and this is the advantage as well, is you only need like little bits of all these amazing fibers to sort of get in there and come on, jab, 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 jab. I've left the I've got another brush that I sometimes use, but that's inside. That's not staying on. Let's okay, so I think I've pretty well, there comes to a point where it won't load anymore, right? As you can see, it's kind of filled up. You can see how on the side here it's starting to fill right up to the top of the tines. So you can only load, I mean, you could probably load more on. Honestly, I see people load tons on, but I personally like a slightly looser Rolag, if that makes sense. Some people's Rolags are so tight that they're actually harder to spin. And for me, it's all about the spinning experience. Like, I love making Rolags, don't get me wrong. I'm just like adding some more mohair because I love the mohair. But it's about the spinning experience for me. So making sure that I can spin this easily is more important than how much I can shove in there. Okay. Oh, thank you. Here we go. Mohair is from Angora goats. Angora is from Angora bunnies. Exactly right. Lots of good information coming into the chat. Seems like it's fun and relaxing. To a degree, these tines are quite sharp. So if you, like, when you put your hands on it, you're fine. But when you're dragging, I've actually, like, here, look, you can already see it. Where's the camera? I'm already getting like, hang on, push down. Little, no, you can't see it. The camera's not quite focused enough. Little pinpricks everywhere. It doesn't hurt so much as you notice it, but when you're constantly dragging over it, you can lift some skin here and there if you're not careful. I'm not careful. I get myself with my blending, like with my blending combs, like with everything. So yeah. And yeah, freaky geek. Just about every process to making yarn is relaxing. And this is the thing. Making yarn is it's like an extended experience. You get to play with the fluffs, you get to spin the fluffs, then the fluffs become yarn, and then you get to make something with the yarn, and then you can either gift your end project. So you can have like a huge amount of enjoyment and time spent with a single project, especially if you're starting from the start, because like you could have dyed the fluffs already, or washed them, get them as a raw fleece. I've got some raw fleeces over there I need to get clean. I was actually thinking, how would you guys like me to spend a few weeks and going through every step of a process? So I've got a raw fleece over there, a friend's special family sheep, probably not the best quality fleece, but it's a special sheep, is very well loved. And so it is his fleece, so it needs washing or scouring and then spinning and then creating. And I was wondering how you guys would feel about spending a few weeks, a few live streams going through the different steps. So you can let me know. But we're on to the next step here. I'm just going to push this up a little bit just so you can see what I'm doing here. I'll pop this out. Lots of yeses. That would be cool. That's awesome. Okay, so what you do is you kind of get your fingers under this little edge here where there's no tines, because you need to get this under, and it sort of sits up against the edge of the blending board, and then you pinch it down and hold the pieces together. Now this is where it gets a bit trickier, especially without the what do you call it, the leg thingy. So you kind of got to pull and twist, and my hand strength is really rotten at the moment. Pull and twist, and we roll it. So we roll the Rolag, and you kind of got to keep it tilted down so that the fibers stay in the tines, and eventually we'll move up and up and up the blending board. We're starting to creep up now. Just push that up there. Pull and twist, pull and twist, and see this beautiful, it's so shiny. It's all that silk and mohair. I'm like, dudes, do we have an empty spindle? I want to spin this. Now, look, you know what? You guys know me. You've been around long enough to understand this is not the only way to do this, okay? Like anything, there are plenty of ways. I'm just pulling this forward just to lean this on my tummy a bit, just because it is moving. And the advantage of the stand is that it doesn't move. I've really got to find that screw. I might have to order a new one from Margicraft. No idea where it is. Could be why I haven't used it in so long. Just thinking if I've got scales handy, we could weigh this Rolag and work out. It doesn't feel very heavy. So it's kind of like drafting while we work on this. Freaky's like, I got 2 empty spindles nearby. Don't get them too tight. No, there is a trick. And like a lot of people, Annette, do struggle with making their Rolags so tight that they can't get their dowels out. I'm sure there's a proper name for them. They feel like dowel to me. We're nearly at the top. My arms are like getting a workout. Knit Spin Girl says she can never get the dowels out. I'm just pushing those up there on the sides. Now we're getting up to the top where it's a little bit less even. So I tend to do sort of shorter pulls there just to get it lifted off. I may even pull some of these off if they're too skew whiffy, but they should be okay. And then just roll it off. So see how you've got this end section? So some people will literally pull all that off. I kind of just smooth it down and get it to join into the rest of the Rolag if I can. Right now, so it is. It's quite tight. Be quite difficult to push out one of these. What I tend to do, which you won't be able to see, but I'll put, so one of them is on the edge of the table and the other one is not, and then hold the one that's not and push down. Oops, if I can balance it. There we go. She says, not at all succeeding. It's not working. Hang on. It started moving, but it hasn't. There we go. Nearly got enough to grip it. So see how you start to get it enough to grip? It's not quite enough for me yet. So I'll just keep pushing down until I get enough to pull it out. There we go. So I was able to, it's like that now. So now you grab one each end and just gently and carefully, especially once it's off in the middle, and you pull it out. And there is your little, it's a little bit rough on the ends. Let's pull that bit out. We'll save that for the next Rolag. And then that is ready to spin. It's like a bit of a cigar. So some people, when they package them up to sell them, they coil them up like this. Some people put a few in a bag and sell them in a bag. So what I'll do is I'll move this guy off the table now. I don't want to accidentally put him on the chair and sit on it. Like, do I have an empty spindle? I don't. But this was just the start of it. I mean, that's the start of one. I don't want to. I do have empty spindles. I have a glindle. Something a bit fun. I need a bowl. Okay. Well, I need a beverage after that, let me tell you. So what did you think of that? That's a Rolag. Hey, Ruth, we just made a Rolag. Yeah, and it does. It should pretty well clean the board off. And if you're going to make multiple Rolags, don't panic too much because what's left will go into the next one maybe. And then at the very end, you can run through with like a little comb and clean it out, which I probably should have done before I started it because there was some squiffy stuff in there. No idea what it was, but anyway. Yeah, so that is it. When it comes to pulling the sticks out of the Rolag, I did make mine quite firm, not too firm. It's still got good squish. So I've changed camera angles. It's still got good squish, right? So it's not solid inside. It's good squish. You can make them less tight so that the sticks come out easier. It's a personal preference and practice. I'm totally out of practice. So yeah, it's definitely that. Okay, so the difference between a poonie and a Rolag, a poonie, P-U-N-I-S, poonies, they're usually cotton. And they're made on cotton cards or on I actually did a video a long time ago. I probably should do another one where I got a cotton bowl and I opened it out into a piece of fabric and then put a knitting needle on it and rolled it. That's like a not quite a proper poonie. It's a cheetah poonie. But it's a good way to get a poonie out of cotton when you don't want to card the cotton. But yeah, poonies are cotton, whereas Rolags are everything else. Thank you. It is. It's so pretty and shiny. That was fun to watch. Thank you. My hands are like, we hate you so much. They're a little bit sore after that. I was not prepared. But I'm so glad that I knew it was right there, like just outside of the set in a crate. So I've definitely got to find out where the screw is to screw the base of it back in. But yeah, so if you want to Google a poonie, Punis, that will make it easier. So yeah. Well, I was going to spindle more of my purple fluff onto a Turkish, but I mean, I didn't specify which spindling I was going to do for today's live. So we could totally spindle our Rolag onto this beautiful bristlecone glindle. Yeah. Okay, that cold brew is so good, and it's the last one in the jug, and I haven't made up another jug, so it's like I'm savoring it. So should we spin our Rolag? It's been a long time since I've used a glindle. I always think of these glindles, they look like little wands to me. So they've actually got a glass, they've got a glass blown end. And then, you know, like this particular one, it's got a heather, like a woodburn thistle. And it was just special to me, so that's why I bought it. Because it actually reminds me of my nana. But anyway, we won't go into that. But yeah, that's why I bought this one. I don't know if bristlecones still make, but I know that there's companies out there doing the glass tip blowns, and they've got it is glass on the. Oops, where's the camera? It is actually glass on this tip. It's not a pen nib. Now this is still. I will not use my very special softwood Misty Bog spindle bowl on this one because I still think this is. I did, and that's where all the scratches came from. That way. See all the scratches that are in there? That bothers me. So I'll only use timber spindles in there. But I've got a bit more of a hardwood one here, so I'm going to use that one. Different bowls. Not that anyone's asked, but there's all different types of bowls. See how these two have got sort of divots? I have another one that doesn't have any kind of divot. Here we go. It's just a little bowl, no divot. Personal preference. I found that when I was very first learning, the one with the little divot was helpful for keeping the spindle in the center and at the right point. Whereas when I was very first learning, it was moving around a bit more. Whereas now I've got more control, so I can keep it in the center. Other than that, they're both fantastic and they all work great as bowls. So, yeah. Oh, no, I wanted that one. The glindle. All right, now I did set up extra cameras. I set them up within a different spindle in mine, so fingers crossed that it works. We have spindle cam. Okay. We have 3 cameras going. Hopefully you can see everything going okay. All right. Let me know in the chat if everything is working good for you. I'm just double checking my speed test. All right. Okay, so a long time. I can't tell you the last time I spun a Rolag. Oh, it's a piece of my hair in it. Let's just get rid of that. I use a small ceramic bowl, but it does make me cringe. I'm not a fan. I'll use a ceramic bowl on a spindle that has some spindle makers use like a metal nib in their spindles. I will use a spindle bowl for that. I won't use a spindle bowl, like a ceramic spindle bowl, on a timber one. I feel that it damages the timber. It may not, but I feel that it does. Just pack up some of the fluffs that we had. Move them out of the way. Remember not to leave those down because Louis is obsessed with fiber and just rips it apart. I'm a bad dog trainer. Okay. So let's fancy camera setup. We dug out the trusty old webcam, the old one. Fingers crossed it survives. There's a lot of lag between the two spindle cams, is there? Okay. Yeah, there seems to be a bit of a lag there. I'm sorry about that. Not much I can do. Yeah, it might ease up as time goes on. It may not. Extra charge for Chantel's hair in your yarn. Absolutely. yeah. Pure Chantel DNA should be more expensive. Absolutely. You guys have got it. You've got it. Okay. So let's see what we can do here. So got to, as usual, start the spin, which I did that one off camera for the other one because I don't like to start the spin on camera. There's a big chunk of, that's right. I'm just going to leave it there. It's the start. We'll roll that on. We can cope with the lag. Louis Fur's thrown in for free. Absolutely. All right. Let's get the spindle going. All right. Got enough there to start the wrap. Okay. Come on. I always find especially when I start ponies, I've got less control. For me personally, this may not be the case for everybody, especially when I've added texture, not pony, Rolag, especially if I've added texture in like the mohair and the silk, I will get a chunkier yarn. I will get more texture because we added texture. So if you don't want texture, if you don't want lumpy bumpy, just add in pre-prepared fibers that are all long. We'll cope with the lag. Thank you. All right. We'll get this down to the bottom of the spindle soon, and that will help, and we'll get a longer spin in. So the more twist you get, the stronger a fine yarn. If you over twist a thick yarn, it gets all curly tailed. So I've just realized the pony was blocking the other camera. After all that effort of setting it up, I was just blocking it. Okay. I'm a bit of a park and drafter. I know not everybody is, but it's especially when I'm spinning a Rolag. I like to have the control of less lumpy bumpy. It's a personal thing, and as we all making our own yarns, we can totally make it how we want it. That's the number one reason why you spin your own, because you want a particular blend or a particular color or a particular style. Hello, Inherited Stitches. Welcome to the chat. I can't press the button to bring your comments up because my hands are full. Some twist in there. We'll do a wind off shortly and start winding down onto the bottom. Remember how I said there was all junk inside my blend board? See how there's actually some vegetable matter, like some leafy bits there? I'm actually going to try and get those out. They feel more like bark than leaves, honestly. There we go. Got them both. Add some twist. There we go. All right, let's wind this guy off. All right, where's the end? There it is. So down on the bottom of these, I've got a nice little groove. It makes it a bit easier. Not all spindles have it. I'm just making sure I wind it in the right direction. Otherwise, I'm going to have to start spinning the opposite way. then wind it on. And you want to make sure that you've got enough left, like you don't want to wind it all the way up to the Rolag. You need to make sure you've got enough left to wind it up to the top. And then, oops, I don't need a clove hitch. All right. There we go. And we keep going. Okay, fingers across it. It's going to stay on. Because a number of times I've started it, wound it on the opposite way, done the wrong thing, and then had to go back and redo it all. And 90% of the time is when it's on camera. When people are watching. Oh, there we go. Not enough twist in there. Join that back on. So see what happened there? It actually came apart because there's not enough twist. All right, join that back on. I do the mashy join. Other people do different joins, but I tend to do a bit of a smoosh it together and thin it out kind of join. That pony's right in the way, isn't it? That sounds like more fun than watching paint dry. Well, I mean, yeah. Are you saying this is boring by saying it's like watching grass grow? It's like watching paint dry. Look, I can put it away if it's boring for you. I don't want to bore you. Or are you just teasing? Teasing's allowed. I just would like to know. Because while I'm having a good time, I need to make sure you guys are. Hello, Natalie Power. Welcome to the chat. Is it still cold for you guys where you are, or is it warming up? Like, is it a good day for a swimming carnival? John says, in theory, I want to learn how to do this, but the reality is I don't want more hobbies. I get that. I understand. Oh, they're just teasing. Okay, I'm just checking because I'm not catching every comment. I'm going to see if I can just swing that around just a little, just so that you get a bit more of a shot of that and less of a shot of the Rolag in the way. How would you ply a yarn like that? On itself, like a 2-ply or chain ply or with another color? Look, honestly, with something this textured, I probably wouldn't ply it on itself, just for me personally. I would probably ply it with the thread because it's so textured. I would get like a nice gold thread, I think, for this particular color, or a silver thread, and ply it with the thread, because for me this is already quite chunky. Like, this is not a lace weight. I'm more of a lace weight user, for those of you that aren't quite sure. So I'm feeling a little out of my element because it is quite chunky. But yeah, it could totally be plied on itself though. If you want to make like an 8-ply, like, you could definitely do a chain ply. That would make this into an 8-ply. Plying this on itself would make like a good solid sort of, I would say, 5-ply. Let's have a look. Add some twist. Yeah, a 4-ply to 5-ply, I think. A little bit lofty. But yeah. Are you when you chain ply, it's basically a 3-ply? Yes, absolutely. That's exactly what you're making, a 3-ply. Is this easier than a drop spindle? I tried the drop one and gave up. I personally think supported spindle is better than drop spindle. but it's my personal preference. And if you're not enjoying a drop spindle, give a supported spindle a try. It's a similar skill. You've still got to draft and park, and you've still got to spin it to wind the yarn on, but you don't also have to then make sure that, like, I mean, I drop this on the table and I bang it and stuff like that, but not having to deal with bending down and picking it up every time I drop it on the ground, risking breaking it. I was reading some terrible stories about people who've dropped their tools and they've shattered into a million pieces. You know, or the tip breaking off for your spindle, like, you know, fairly newly getting it or whatever have you. I like this because I've got a pretty thick mouse pad. Normally I would have taken this off so you could have a nice white background, but I prefer to have the mouse pad down when I'm spindling just to protect the spindle, because I like to protect the tools. Jackie jumping in with the yarn science right there. Absolutely. 2-ply makes a flatter yarn, which is great for lace. 3-plies and 4-plies make a beautiful round yarn, which is fantastic for cables and things that you want to pop. My Rolag little middle just popped out, so I'm just spinning that off. So yeah, so they're different, like support spindling and drop spindling are different skills, but at the end of the day, they make yarn. So they make the same yarn as well. Like you don't, like, obviously with a drop spindle, you tend to get bigger drop spindles. So you tend to make chunkier yarns. Whereas with support spindles, I do find I buy the smaller supports. You can buy bigger ones, but I buy the supports that are lighter weight, so that I get a lighter yarn, if that makes sense. Because I personally prefer to make a lace weight or a 4-ply, or a lace weight or a sock yarn, I should say. 4-ply is an Australian thing that doesn't actually have 4 plies. Used to, doesn't anymore. Mind you, I don't recommend tossing your tools. Yeah. Do I ply on a spindle? Sometimes. You can totally ply on a spindle. Same idea as when you're applying on a wheel. Just hold 2 together and spin them the opposite direction, like you ply in the opposite direction that you spun. I normally chuck them on. I've got like a electric eel nano, like the little tiny one. I tend to do it on there just because I'm slack. It's not slack. It's just utilizing my time better. But you can totally do it. Absolutely. I'm just going to wind this off so that we can wind it down the bottom. We're getting some chunky, nice yarn here. Look at this. Nice texture, lots of color. Just winding it on to give us some more room for spinning. I tend to wind on like this so I can see what I'm doing when I get started. All right. Wind on under tension. Just, I'll tell you what, from blending board to this, I'm actually getting a cramp in this finger, which is making winding really difficult. Don't get caught up in the Rolag, little yarn. Where are you? You have flip. There we go. Okay, then back up again with a little thing there, and back to spinning. I probably overspun this a little because I am used to spinning finer yarns, but I can fix it up in the ply a little. I'm just going to pop this down for just a second so you guys can have a look at what we've got so far. That's the yarn that we're making. It's a bit lumpy and bumpy and textured. That's going to be really pretty. I like all those colors together. But I am just going to switch us back to this one for a minute while I have a drink and let my hand have a rest. It's actually like really quite sore now. I have a tiny drop spindles and giant drop spindles. I have small support spindles and larger support spindles. It depends on what you're trying to do, depends on what you use. Absolutely different tool for a different job. I have a large drop spindle that I use for plying mostly, but I have used my heavier support spindles to ply with too. Yeah. Lisby loves her nano. Heartsog mysteriously has a song playing in their head right now. Freaky says that I have an electric wheel and find that after a while it seems to have slowed down in its speed, so not used in quite some time. Have a look, double check some things. You may have some fluff stuff stuck somewhere that could be causing some friction. But the other thing to remember is with a lot of these little like motors that go into things, they only run for a certain number of hours, and then you need to replace the little motor. So maybe you've hit the life of the actual motor. But you could still check that out. Remind me when I see you next to show you how I wind on the support spindle the same way when I spin. Yep. Electric boots and a mohair suit. Bub says it's raining. Oh my gosh, Bub, that's got to be awesome for you. I'm a bit over the rain, but I'm glad you're getting some. I'm now using it plugged into power, so it's working more consistently. Oh, because you had yours plugged into a power pack, a USB, like, power bank, didn't you? Yes, Kylie in the head. Kylie in your head. Yep, I'm spinning around. So yeah. Oh, my hand is a bit sore. I didn't expect that. It's been a while since I've spun, you guys, but then doing the Rolag first. But I want to keep going. Oh, so while I massage my hand and try and ease the muscle in here, do you have any questions for me so far? It doesn't have to be spinning related. It can be anything related, within reason. Within reason. Yeah, and if you have, that's an excellent point as well, Lisby. If you have an electric, a Dreaming Robots electric eel wheel, they do have the replacement motors, so you can totally go back and get it from them. So definitely worth checking out. If you've got an electric eel and it's starting to slow down, go and have a look. It shouldn't be too expensive to replace the motor. I know that on my electric ball winder, the motor was about $20 US to get that replaced, and the ball winder was worth like $900. So it's just like, ooh, what should I do? Like, yeah. And now I can't get new motors because they're a custom motor and the business is shut down. So maybe buy a spare, like I should have done. I have a feeling I did. Oh, I've got a box to check later on. I may have a spare motor laying around. Wouldn't that be nice? Not that mine needs replacing yet, but it'd be reassuring to know that I could replace it if I needed to. It could be the elastic bands have stretched. You might need to replace those. Yeah, there's lots of moving parts, pun intended. Jancy, I don't believe so. I haven't been having any problems on my end as far as I'm aware. And you're the first person to mention something doesn't mean there's not a problem. So if anybody else could go and have a look and see if the pages are taking a long time to load, that would be helpful. Yeah, I wasn't having any problems when I was on there the other day, but that doesn't mean that there's not a problem. So I'll also go in and check that. So just on my website, so the fiberific.com.au. Let's see if my spinning hand will spin again. I'll have a drink of water first. And then we'll drop back down to the multiple billion cameras. All right. Let's spin this. Freaky says, Jance, you blame your modem. Sally says that it was all good. Oh, am I spinning the... No? What am I doing? There we go. I was spinning the wrong way. Oh, hang on. Come on, twisty bits. What's going on here? Have I done something stupid? The twist is disappearing. Here it comes. I will say that this spindle does not have a nice long spin, and it does mean that it's more work to spindle. Maybe the modem knew I shouldn't be shopping. Lisby's jumped onto her phone and it's all loading well on her phone. Okay. Does it matter which way you spin? No, as long as you continue to spin that way. You can't decide that you need to change direction mid-spin. You need to decide on a direction and go with it. Now, old school people who I disagree with say that you must spin in the S direction for the spin and then the Z direction for the ply. I think that they can be quiet and sit quietly in the corner as long as you spin in the same direction for your project, if that makes sense. Also, make sure you write it down. I find that as a crocheter, I prefer to spin Z and ply S. I find that my actual crocheting doesn't untwist the yarn as much when I do that way. And when I continental knit, I find the same thing. But it doesn't matter. Like in the stores, they used to sell crochet yarn and that was spun in the opposite direction. They don't anymore because it's not a big deal anymore. You just have to make sure that whichever way you decide to go, that once you decide go to ply, you go the other way. And that you do it for the entire batch of yarn, like the whole project, so that all of your yarn matches. There is school of thought, if you're going to use your spinning for weaving, it creates beautiful light reflection. If you warp with spun S plied Z and then weave with spun Z plied S, so you actually get like good light reflection of both. They don't actually blend in together. They stand on top of each other. So I mean that's something cool that you could play with and try. But no, it doesn't matter. Short answer, it doesn't matter. Can you explain Z and S? So when you are spinning, the actual twist creates like a line. You're not going to be able to see it on this, but basically your yarn strand has looks like this, and then when you look at it, there's like twisted lines where the twist is, and you can tell by looking at it that which way you've spun it, basically, because this has got, it's sort of like, it's hard to describe because you can't see it. But yeah, so basically it creates, they call it Z and S because when you do a Z, it goes like that. And when you do an S, it goes like that. So the S comes that way and the Z goes the other way. Like the S is one way and the Z's the other. I think that's right. Jackie, thank you. Jackie's put an amazing link in and popped it in so that you can get a better description. Does that draw the Z and S on so she can see? I found that very difficult without a pen and paper in my hands. I normally do write it out and draw it and show it. So yeah. Yeah, that's right. If you spin clockwise, you get the clockwise is Z and anti-clockwise is S, because I tend to spin Z and I tend to spin clockwise. So, yeah. Thank you, Jackie. You're right. Very difficult to explain without pictures. You think you've heard about it now before, now that I'm talking about it? Yep, probably. If you've done any spinning classes or anything like that, they always tell you about it. There we go. Get some twist in there. We're not even halfway through the Rolag yet, you guys. Lisby's on it. There's 45 watching, but only 11 likes. Now, that either means they don't like what we're doing, or they don't know that we like it when you press the like. So if you could pretty please press the like, then that would be awesome. A spinning class. Oh, not a spinning class. You think it was YouTube? Okay. Yeah. Oh, Nat says that there's 30 likes. I'll tell you what mine says. I'll pop it up. I've got 36 viewers. No, sorry, just refresh. 44 viewers and 32 likes is what it says for me on my end. So, yeah. Yeah, I don't know why we all see different things, honestly. I think it's a bit weird. You'd think YouTube would have it. Oh, good job, John. Press and like twice. Well done. Oh, my goodness. So do you guys like it when we do these sort of more hands-on things, or do you prefer the less hands-on and the more chatty? I mean, I like both personally. I don't care. But I'm always... Oops. Now I know what happened before, when before, and I was like, oh, I don't know what happened. And I realized I was trying to spin it the wrong way and it untwisted it. Now I know what I'm doing. Hopefully the ones that I already did that are down the bottom are correct. Who knows? I certainly don't know what I'm doing. John says, I think you're stalling work on your queen. Really, John? No, I actually looked last night. I was like, oh, I'll do the queen today because I'll have the aircon on and it'll be fine. And then I was like, you know what? We haven't spun in a while, and I've actually had a few people asking me, so like sending me messages about it. So I thought I'll just do a spinning video instead. We'll do the queen next week, John. How's that sound? I promise to not delay the queen anymore. I'll have the aircon on and I'll work on the queen next week. But I'll also be getting sorted to work out how we will scour the fleece together. We might just do because I plan on spinning it on a wheel, I'm not going to spindle spin it, and I want to spin it a bit finer. I tend to scour the locks individually, so that'll probably be easier to do in this situation. I will have to have a kettle out here, so hopefully we're not overloading the power. I like the hands on because I always learn something, but I love the chats as well. Thank you. I like to see different crafts that I'm interested in. That's actually an excellent point, Freaky. If I sat on the queen, I would technically be working on it. Absolutely. I like that logic. Well done. I always learn something from you. The hands-on stuff is really good. Thank you. If you're spinning on a wheel, put your hand on top of the wheel to spin Z. Move your hand from right. Yeah, I'd have to have a look. I don't know. I have to have a think about it. I've got some empty bobbins ready for this project. I don't know how much I should weigh the fleece. It'd be very interesting as well because you do lose about 30. I would estimate around 30% of fleece when you're scouring and picking. Should we spin from the locks, or should we comb it and make it all the cream of the crop stuff off the fleece? You do lose more when you when you make it more cream of the crop, but you also get a better product at the end. Or should we just make it so that they get more of their special? I actually think I've just answered my own question. While I would like to hand comb it and make it cream of the crop, I think this is their special sheep, and we should give them as much of the sheep as we can. So we'll spin from the locks. Bob says, switch it up, keeps us guessing, and I enjoy your podcast and my crafty time. Oh, that's good. Yeah, so I'm going to be knitting. I've got to decide, like, I need to have a good look at the fleece and decide what kind of quality it is before I decide what I'm going to make with it. I do need to make something neck warmy though, something wearable is the point. But he may not be wearable quality. I'll have to. I've got to check the wool. He was a pet rather than a fiber animal. Spin from the locks. Is it a Scottish sheep? Yes. No. I meant spin from the staples. So, yeah. All right, let's wind some of this off. I think my hand needed a break before. I think that dealt with that a lot better. Oops, I think I'm pulling all the innards out of my Rolag rather than getting the front tips. I'm just reading the chat here. Hands on from Lynn. Hello, Lynn. Welcome to the chat. Are you picking or carding the wool? I'm tossing. I'm not going to do either. I'm going to just flick it. I've got flick brushes. I'll just flick the tips. Oops. So we'll do like a video, like a day where we're washing the fleece, and then we'll do a day where we flick the fleece, or we could flick a bit and spin a bit and flick a bit and spin a bit. But I think I would prefer to, for my process, personally, I prefer to sit down and flick a pile of it and then spin it. Maybe we could flick for half and then spin for half. Yeah. And then I need to talk to the owner and work out if she wants to come over and do a bit of dyeing. And she can dye some if she wants. I'll stand back while she does it. What process gets you more done? Is there any reason why you couldn't support a drop spindle in the same way? Depends on your drop spindle. So if you've got a drop spindle that's like this guy, like this is a Turkish, you can totally use a Turkish the same way because they have a point on the end. If your drop spindle, I don't have any others here, if it's got the flat bottom, it won't work that way. Because it will just sort of be slow and grindy. It's not been designed for it. It's not centered. But if it's like these guys where it's got the tip on the bottom, the top and the bottom, then it will totally work. So just have a look at your drop spindle. If your drop spindle has a tapered point, very likely you'll be able to use it in a support bowl. You could, if you really wanted, run it through a pencil sharpener and give it a try. It might not be centered. It might not do an awesome job, but it could still work. what process gets me more done? I think like if we aimed for like a half a stream of flicking and a half a stream of spinning, I think that would be good. I think that would get us going. I've started, Annette says I've started spinning a raw fleece, which I haven't done since I picked up spinning in over 40 years. It's a lovely fleece, and I was trying to spin fine, but I have lots of tiny bits of fluff. So go thicker. It's a friend's fleece, so I'm disappointed I couldn't get it nice and fine. Look, I actually don't like spinning raw fleece personally. I like to give it a wash. But if it's fluffy, is it shortcuts? Like, was it a bad shear? So I haven't even checked the shear on this. I know it's going to be an interesting shear because the sheep has actually passed away and they sheared it after it passed away. So it'll be very interesting to see how it goes. Are spinning wheels easier? I personally think they're just different. It's kind of like the difference between using a knitting machine and using knitting needles. It's two different skills with some overlap of, knowledge. So spinning wheel I find easier in so much as both hands are easier on the fiber. There's not one hand that has to get the flick, and you don't have to wind it on. The spinning wheel winds it for you. But in saying that, you also have to get your hands and feet working together in tandem. And while that's easy for me, and I personally prefer spinning on a wheel, I think that for some people, hand spinning is easier. But it just depends on the individual person. So I actually learnt on a wheel first. So that could also be it for me. I'm just more comfortable on a wheel because it's where I started. Some people start on spindles because spindles are a heck of a lot cheaper than a wheel. Like $100 for a spindle versus $1,500 for a wheel. So, Lisby's actually made an excellent point. Electric wheels, you don't need to do the feet thing, but you also have to learn how to work with the motor and at the speeds that the motor wants you to work at. And, again, slightly different skills. Linda Dying Dream says, no, you need more coordination on wheel. It took me well over a year to get the hang of it. Spindle was much easier. Yeah, see, like different people, different strokes for different folks. I think it's like a case of have a go and see what you like. You can usually pick up a secondhand wheel fairly inexpensively online. Depends on, where you are. For us in Australia, eBay is the place to go, and Gumtree. But there's always a risk because sometimes the people selling the wheel never use it. It was a display wheel, and then it's missing integral parts. So that's always the trick with buying a second-hand wheel, is buying from someone that you know, or getting someone who knows wheels to have a look at it for you. Kind of like a car. It's the same deal. I had my son laughing at my attempts to use a wheel because it was easy for him to get the wheel to move with his feet while doing something with his hands. Yeah. So I like when I'm spinning on a wheel, I'm fairly musical. So I think of music and I hum songs while I'm spinning on a wheel, and my feet automatically tap then. And you don't have to spin fast. It's actually harder to control, especially at the start. When you spin fast, you just spin slow. Your wheel can spin young quite quickly if your feet treadling are just going like just at that speed. You don't need to be going crazy, just slow treadling. So yeah, you don't have to go fast. And it says can get a secondhand wheel for $50. Yeah, apparently I've not bought one, but you can. And what Emma says, Game Widow says, is 100% true. Portability and space are also an issue. Spinning wheels take up space. There's no denying it. They are quite a large piece of equipment, some of them, And oops, there we go. I spun the wrong way. And they do take up space. So if you don't have space for a wheel, you will get annoyed with it. You'll trip over it all the time. It'll be in the way. But and like what Knit Spin Girl says, you can totally make your own spindle to have a go. Now, there's downsides. It may not be centered. It might not spin properly, you know, and allow for the fact that, you know, it wasn't made by a professional, but it might be enough just to have a go. So yeah. We're getting towards the end of this Rolag. And I've realized I'm getting thinner with the spinning too. It's not even. I could possibly ply this back on itself and still get a relatively light yarn, because this end of it's much thinner than the other end was. John bought one of Scott's spindles just to buy one. Awesome. Jancy says, I find the small amounts on a spindle is annoying. The spinning wheel is super relaxing and easy to use. Spinning doesn't have the same speed control for fiber, but works great for plying. Yeah, look, I think it's just a practice thing. I think spinning on an electric wheel works just as well either way for me. But I think it could be because I actually prefer hand spinning. I've definitely dozed off, Bub. But yeah, it's like knitting and crocheting, and which tools are perfect, etc. It's personal preference. None of them are technically right or wrong. Some just might work better for you than others. So I know that Jancy, you're saying that you find the small amounts annoying. Emma only spins on wheels and spins on spindles, like Gamer Widows, and spins huge amounts of yarn. So yeah, it really just depends on your use case. I personally prefer the small amounts. Usually, maybe not when they're this thick, but I tend to spin like lace weight and cobweb weight, and so, you know, 50 grams or 25 grams of cobweb weight is still 1,000 meters. So, you know, it looks like it's a small amount, but then when you start actually counting it, it came out to be a lot. So different things. But you know, if you're spindling, there we go, new word for today. If you're spindling, say, an 8-ply, yeah, sure, you'll only get a few meters on. My Rolag spinning needs some practice. The advantage of a Rolag usually is a nice long draw, but I keep screwing it. And I'll probably be able to get to it now that it's getting towards the end a bit, and I'll show you. You get your twist up. I'm actually catching up to the end of the Rolag now. And so, all right, let's see if I can sort of, I've got lots of twist in there. See how it's all curly wigged? You don't want that. So what you do is you pinch there and you just draft it out a little. It's not doing it. There we go. And then you watch the twist travel. See how that I let go and the twist just traveled right into there and then all the way to there. But I think my first Rolag in a few years was not the best, and I am not having the best time with it. It needs a bit of pre-drafting. How do you know if your spindle is full? It's hard to wind more fluff onto it. Emma's probably the better person to discuss it. I tend not to fill my spindles right up. Yeah, so Emma spins way faster on a spindle than I do. I'm a very slow spindle spinner, but it's also how I think about my yarn crafting. My time is precious and I want to enjoy every second of it. And I'm not like, usually when I'm spinning yarn, I don't have a purpose for the yarn. I'm spinning for the sake of spinning. Whereas Emma normally has an entire project planned out and she needs the yarn. So it's a totally different attitude as well. Lisby says, as a newbie spinner, seeing me relearn as you go. Oh, absolutely. It's like anything. If you don't keep practicing, sometimes you lose the skills. And while parts of it are like riding a bike, and the second you start again, you remember, other parts you're like, oh, hang on a second, there was something I had to do here. What have I got to do again? And it's like we're all constantly learning and relearning. And I think the second we all go, I know everything about spinning and there's no way I could learn anything more, then that's when you may as well pack up and go home, because there's nothing more to learn and you're happy just doing the same thing over and over again. Well, then I think that's sad, personally. It's like, I need to watch someone spin some Rolags because I think I butchered this one. Yeah, Freaky, you're 100% right. You can't load it and it slows down the spindle for sure. Or slows it right down. Like adding any weight slows a spindle down, but like you get to a point where you're like, yeah, this is untenable. You can't get enough spin to get the twist that you needed. We should probably, speaking of loading, we should probably move the cob down to the bottom. But yes, Emma spins, or the Game Widows only spins on spindle and spins a lot. Or maybe next week, rather than doing the queen, we could ply this yarn. You guys let me know. Would you prefer me to do the queen or ply the yarn? Oops, there we go. Back in the shots. I'll just bring that down. Otherwise, I might ply it through the week and just pop a photo up. Your call. Plying is exactly the same, except we spin the opposite way. Yeah, I'm just double checking. When the chat doesn't move, I get worried, you guys. I know you're just watching, but I'm like, oh, is something wrong with the connection? Compromise, play the queen. Lisby says this little learner would like to see the plying. I never know how much I'm doing it. I would like to see the plying. Okay, all right, we'll save. I'll make sure that if we don't get this finished today, I'll make sure that I finish the spin so that next week we can do the ply. And we'll ply on the spindle, or do you want to ply on the wheel? So let me know what you prefer to do. Okay, it looks like there's a resounding do the ply. I just need to say, John, see, the audience has spoken, mate. No queen for next week. Although plying is generally a lot quicker, so we may, I'll get the queen ready for the second half. And it says that, actually, I'm just going to bring this one up on screen. When I first learned to spin, everyone used raw fleece and unwashed. When I came back to spinning 6 years ago, everyone was using processed fiber and I thought it was cotton wool. when I did a spinning class, like I don't even know how many years ago now, a long time ago, and we were taught on raw unprocessed fleece, so that we could learn all the steps. And I made like a little neck warmer thing out of my terrible chunky yarn that I made. Actually, it wasn't too bad. I've seen worse. I've made worse. I actually did very well for my first go, and then my second go was rubbish. And then I moved on to processed fiber, just because I don't like how lanolin makes my hands feel, and the smell is pretty full on. So I tend to scour my fleeces before I spin them, because I don't scour them crazy amounts. I just get the excess lanolin off, because I think one of the advantages of spinning a raw fleece, or spinning a fleece, is some of the textural stuff. And I think sometimes if you over scour it, some of that gets taken away. Oh, hello, Abby. Someone called me Shani, and now Abby is just like, she constantly calls me Shani, because I think she saw me visually cringe when it happened. So now she's on my case. So Abby Olio, everybody, this is my daughter. She is not homeschooling. She is online learning this week. So where are we at? She's on a break. So she's harassing us. Stop sucking up the bandwidth, Abby. Yes, it's my Abby, Leanne. That's right. Bye. Oh my goodness, John. I had a teacher at school, in high school, that whenever I walked into the classroom, it's like I had a theme song, because he would hum that every time he saw me walk into the room. And it was not cool, because he didn't do it to anybody else, or at least not anybody else in my class name. Did she change her name? Yeah, she did. Yeah, she did. She's Abby Olio now. She's got like a friend that they do stuff together online, and now their names match. In the 80s, Mum got into spinning, and everyone spun in the raw, but there was this small wool but they weren't the small wool producers that you could buy processed wool for spinning. Yeah, I mean, it's a lot easier now. Like, it used to be all you could get was raw wool. So much more options now, and you've got some amazing sellers that sometimes they're doing their own fleeces, like Tandy. They're processing their own. You've got Beersheba processing her own, and then you've got people who buy in like bulk fibers and blends and do it that way, like Eggshell Bunny does, and they get some amazing blends, and they're dyeing them, and there's so many good choices. There were no other Chantels in my class, but like, there was girls with other names that had other songs. Do you know what I mean? Like, there was a Caroline in my class. So I don't understand why I copped the torture. Anyway. I'm not going to whinge too much about it. Well, actually, I am. I'll whinge constantly about it, but later. I actually didn't know of any other Chantels at all until I was in my 20s. And that's when I started finding out that people spelt my name differently. And just, I just got just a smell of smoke then. I'll just keep a nose out for that. Yeah, and then I realized that there were different spellings of Chantel and things like that. So, yeah. I do know that there was a problem with me getting my tax file number, because there was another person with my full name, other than my middle name, born on the same day as me in Australia, which was weird. I've never heard of another Tamantha, honestly. I was Oh, because of the Simpsons, of course. She smells the smoke. Yeah. Think less hard. I'm just oh great. Everyone, Abby and Tim are both watching the live stream. So if all of a sudden my signal gets weak, we know why. I was one of 3 Emmas, but I was the only one serenaded. Oh, there you go. No, Abby, he hasn't been. He left it there the other night. He hasn't cleaned up after the last time he had a drink, is more what it is. Yeah, there's lots of songs out there with people's names, isn't it? Yeah, enough Johns. Yeah, Abby is a dibba dobber. Oops, that's a bit chunky there. Let's see if we can fix that up. I'm not sure if you guys saw what I did there. So sometimes when something's a bit thick and it's already got a bit of twist on it, but I'm not happy with it, I go in and untwist it, and then I change like the thickness of the piece, and then so let's do a thick bit there, right? So we twist it up, and it's like, oh look, that's too chunky. I don't want something that chunky. So what you do is you go in and untwist around it so there's no twisting, and then just give it a gentle, pull it around and fix it, and then add the twist back in, and then less chunky. Jen has made it. Welcome to the chat, Jen. We made a Rolag today, and now we're spinning my very tightly wound Rolag. And then next week, we're going to ply said Rolag. That was not the plan. I was just going to spin and chat. But things always change, don't they? Work got in the way. Oh, it happens, Jen. It happens. Sally says, I had a teacher that was adamant on calling me Sally Ann all the time. Abby has teachers that are adamant, and they call her Abigail, except that's not her name. She still is polite and responds to it, though. Not like her uncle. My brother used to get called Danny at school, and we'd never called him Danny. It was always Daniel. Always. And he had a teacher that would constantly call him Danny. And I remember my mum coming in, and the teacher was like, he's really, disregards it when people are speaking to him, and he doesn't turn and he doesn't listen. And Mum was like, really? That's really surprising. And so the teachers called out to Daniel, like going, Danny, Danny, and he didn't turn. And my mum's just gone, we have never, ever called him that in his life. It's like you're calling him Steve and expecting him to respond to it. You're not calling him by his name. And the teacher was actually like, well, he should get used to this because people are going to call him Danny his whole life, except no one has ever called him Danny. Because we have our names and we decide if they're shortened or not, or if we're happy to accept other people shortening them. Abby, I don't like Shani. Just putting that out there. Leanne says, my Daniel didn't like Dan or Danny either. Yeah, it happens. It's because it's not their name. Oh, you like the setup there, Tim? Thanks, honey. This is why we have all the gear out here. It's so we can do stuff like this. There's a little lump here. I'm tossing. I'm just going to leave it. You know what? That one can stay. I was trying to add a bit of extra twist over it. There we go. Come on, little Rolag, stay at the back. We're getting there. It's a nice textured yarn that we've got. Oh wow, yeah, that's odd when it's a wholly different name. We called him Bobby as a nickname, and he said my name is Robert, not Bobby, and he was 6. Yeah, so that's his name. It's like it's my father-in-law. He's a Robert. I've never called him Bob or Bobby or anything. It's always been Robert. Sally said it's always been Tam for Tamara. And that's the other thing, isn't it? Like when if they do shorten their name, it's never shortened when they're in trouble. Never. It's always like the full impact. Oh, I had a German teacher who used to do that. I got called Charlotta because that was apparently more German than Chantel, because Chantel was a French name. And it took me a little bit to adjust that she was talking to me, because she didn't really change. Like, she did change a few students' names. There were a few that were changed. It wasn't just mine, so it took us all a little bit to adjust to being called something different just because it was more German sounding. I think that's a bizarre thing to do, personally. I never really understood the why on that one. Yeah, that was the thing. I don't know. I never understood the why. To ply this, are you going to wind it on the handy Andy? I'm thinking so, Bub. Yeah, I'm thinking a 2-ply for this guy. I don't think I want to do an Andean ply. Sorry, not an Andean. So I don't think I want to do a chain ply. I think I just want a 2-ply, but back on itself. I don't know if I'll use the handy Andy for it or if I'll just use my hand. It doesn't look to be a lot. I could probably get away with my hand. I mean, the downside is it's attached to my hand. To shorten it, you'd be Lee. Yeah, absolutely. No, I've had like friends and stuff over the years change my names and shorten my name and do all sorts of things to it, but I just prefer Chantel. That's what I'm used to. Oh my god. My mum's middle name is spelt incorrectly on her birth certificate because her father spelled it incorrectly on the paperwork. So a handy Andy is a tool for plying both ends of a 2-ply together without having to wind it into a ball and risk turning it into an absolute nightmare. Especially if, like, this is over twisted. I can tell sections of it are very over twisted. So if I wind that into a center pull ball and then pull it off a ball winder, the chances are it's going to spring back on itself and get all tangled up and be an absolute nightmare. So a handy Andy is this tool for creating a 2-ply. It was traditionally called an Andean ply, but I do believe that we've got a big chunk of just mohair Look at that. I do believe that it's not called that now. I think it's called bracelet plying. Because the Andean community never ever did it that way. Apparently, I've been doing some educating. I've been trying to educate myself, and it was just something that it was called, like how chain plying was called Navajo plying. I don't know how correct that is, but the community is moving away from naming them Andean and Navajo and things like that. Because I believe part of the issue is that those particular communities didn't use that particular style of plying. So it was just something that some person said rather than actually learning from that community and naming it after the community, if that makes any sense at all. So, yeah, we're going to do bracelet plying. There's a tool called a handy Andy, and it means that you don't have to wrap the bracelet around your own wrist. So, yeah, lots of discussion about names. Yeah, Harry is Henry, or Hank is the other one. Or Henry being called Hank, it is usually. We've got lots of texture coming in. I'll just see if I push that forward a little. There we go. Sorry, I realized I was leaning back, which meant I was taking everything with me, which meant it was all coming out of the camera shot. So yeah, I don't think we'll get it all done, but we'll nearly get it all done. Yeah, I see Tim. She's annoying. She's banging on the windows. She has to be center of attention, doesn't she? It's a kid thing, right? I mean, that's a good point, Freaky. That's a good point. Okay. Let's wind what's left here into our well, isn't it D apostrophe RT? I don't know either, Sally. But it wasn't one of the Three Musketeers, was D'Artagnan? Off the top of my head, I could be wrong. Okay. Well, I think we did really well, considering I didn't know we were going to be making Rolags. We've made a Rolag. We have spun a lot of Rolag, not all of it. And we have a plan for next week. So we've got lots done. Let me know if you've enjoyed this, either here or in the chat. Come back and watch the replay. And next week, if all goes to plan, we will ply this little sample that we made, this Rolag, and then we will give it away, and we'll give it a wash, and we'll do all the care that we need to do. And then if we run out of time, we will then work on the Queen. I'll make sure it's all handy and ready to go as well. So we had a lot of fun. I mean, I had a lot of fun. I learned that my hands have gotten very weak. So it was a pretty decent sized Rolag, but one big Rolag took it out of my hands. So yeah, and I'll definitely have to make some more. We'll have some fun with them. And I will catch you all next week. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your week. And yeah, be good. Try something new. Bye.